we're going to talk about how we can solve equations. And it's order to solve equations, there's a couple properties that can be used. And so the first two, the properties that we'll talk about here are going to be the subtraction and addition properties. Basically, what this says is that you're allowed to either add a number to both sides or subtract a number to both sides in order to keep the equation balanced. So whatever you do to the one side, you have to do to the other side. And it can either be addition or subtraction. Particularly, you're going to use this when you want to move something over to the other side of the equation. The way that you want to solve these equations is by getting the variable isolated on one side of the equation, and everything else you're going to move over either by using subtraction or addition. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that for these. Now we're also going to check our answer as well when we're done. So I'll show you that. All right, so I have this one right here. So y plus 5 equals 7. What I want to do is I want to get the y by itself, and I want to leave nothing else here. So this 5, I want to get rid of that. Now, the way that we're going to accomplish this is we're going to subtract that out from both sides. I want this to add up to a 0. So if I have a 5, then I want to do the opposite operation on that. So I want to subtract a 5. That way, 5 minus 5 will go away, and I'll just get y by itself. But what you do to one side, you have to do the other side. Now, I tend to do this vertically. You might find it easier to do y plus 5, then minus 5, then put a minus 5 right after it and do it all horizontally. That's okay as well. So either way is okay. I originally learned this many years ago, probably decades ago, where you do it vertically like this. That's what we'll do here. That's going to add up to 0. 5 minus 5. So we can even put that there if we want. We can put that there. And then 7 minus 5 is 2. So then we just end up with y equals 2. And now the equation is solved. We've solved for y. Now to check the answer, what you're going to do is plug in what you found for y. You're going to plug it in for the y and then see if you get a true statement that results. So if I take out the y and put a 2 in there instead, so 2 plus 5 equals 7. Then if I simplify the left-hand side, I get 7 equals 7. That's a check. So that confirms that the answer we have is correct because it made the equation correct when we plug that number back in. So that's the whole idea. You are replacing the variable with the answer you found and then simplifying it to see if you get the same thing on both sides. All right, so next one we'll solve this one and do a check on this as well. All right, now, typically you want to put the variable on the left-hand side of the equation, but you don't always have to do that. So let me show you this way. Okay, so this one is a little bit different because we have the variable on the right-hand side, but still we want to get this m, we want to get it isolated. So if I want to leave that alone by itself, that's negative 7 needs to go away. So in order to get rid of it, I'm going to add a 7 to both sides just like that. So I add 7 there, and I add a 7 to the right-hand side. Adding it on the left-hand side will give you an 11. And I don't have to put the plus 0. I'll go ahead and write it out one more time, but you don't have to always put that. You could just put 11 equals m, or I can just say m equals 11. It doesn't matter because they're both equal to each other. You're allowed to switch the order around and end up with the m on this side. So you don't have to move the m in the beginning, because if we move the m to the left-hand side, then it requires, some more steps. And so it's probably a little bit easier just to do it this way, where you just leave the m on that side and then add 7, and we get 11 as the answer. Now we want to check our answer. Take out the m, put in 11. And then we just simplify both sides. 11 minus 7 is in fact 4, so that is correct. So now we verified that 11 is the answer. That makes this equation correct. Okay. Next, let's do these 3 here. Okay, so negative 8. So we'll do this one here. Negative 8 plus x equals 13. Okay. And so again, I'm going to go ahead and I'll start by writing this out here. The x is on the left-hand side. I want to leave it there. I want to get rid of the 8. So you want to do always the opposite operation. We want this to add up to a 0. So you don't want to do a minus 8 here because negative 8 minus an 8 more is negative 16. That doesn't add up to a 0. So you want to add 8 to both sides. Okay. Then the 8s are going to cancel out and you get a 0. 0 plus x. And then we have on this side 13 plus 8 gives you 21. So our answer is going to be x equals 21. There's no, doesn't require you to do a check on your answer, but you could just put it in there and mentally do it. Negative 8 plus 21, you should get 13 as your answer there. Next one, negative 15. So 15 equals x plus 61. I'm writing the problem out separately just so that when you're watching this, you'll know what the original problem was here. So that's why I'm kind of rewriting it underneath here and doing my work below. We have an x on the right-hand side this time. So I still need to get that x by itself. And so I want to subtract the 61. So you might be thinking, well, why don't I just add 15 to both sides? Okay, well, I could do that, but then I'd still have x and another number on the side. So the idea is you want to get x by itself. So I don't want the x to be there anymore. So this is the reason why I'm choosing instead I'm going to subtract 61 from both sides. So let's do that. Subtract 61 here, subtract 61 right there. Okay, I'm doing that purposely because then I just get x only here. 61, negative 61, that's a 0. I don't need to write that. That's fine. And I have negative 15 minus 61. That's going to give you negative 76. So that's the answer. We can even just rewrite it. Put the x on the left-hand side. X equals negative 76. Again, you could always plug it back in to check to see if your answer is right or not. And let's do one more here. This one here, we're going to do, we have a negative 11 equals negative 6 plus x. We want the x to be by itself. So I want to get rid of the negative 6. So to do that, I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Okay. Be careful when you're adding this together. There's more negatives than there are positives. So your answer is going to be negative. Negative 11 plus 6 gives you a negative 5. Now these two, negative 6 plus 6, cancel out. You get a 0 there. And you just end up with x. So x equals negative 5. And that is your answer there.